All right, folks, welcome back here for another movie review. Terrell and we're going to be reviewing the new Dragon Ball Super movie, Dragon Ball Super Hero, which is going to be releasing in America finally, in North America, shall I say, finally, August 19th, where I just going to just go off the limb right now and say totally check it out in IMAX. And the reason I'm saying that is because in the previous films, the animation has been good, and you can tell there were certain elements of it that was totally done for IMAX. Certain sections, certain portions of the film that was completely made and crafted for IMAX. This entire film finally is for IMAX. So without a doubt, if IMAX is available, and even if IMAX is not available at your nearest theater, like me, I think I had to go like an hour away in order to get IMAX for Broly. So like, do what you got to do and go check it out. Again, August 19th. It already had its Japan release and maybe some other countries as well, but finally in North America in 2,500 plus theaters, we're finally going to get our chance to see it. Couple of things I want to say. I completely avoided spoilers, so I'm happy to be able to come in this and seeing it for the first time and just feeling good about it. You know, I was not spoiled by anything that was out there. Obviously, folks had seen the Japanese version of it. People were trying to spoil everything, and yes, I avoided it all. So I come in this joint the first time watching it, and I had a good time. Before I give it to you, Terrell, I'm just going to quickly say what this film is about. The Red Ribbon Army is back. Yes, Red Ribbon Army is back. And this time, and I think the last time we seen them was the Cell Saga, when the Android 1718 was created and Cell and all that other good stuff. And obviously before that was, in Dragon Ball. But they're back. They created two more androids, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, who are superheroes. At least in their eyes they are, and they think the enemy are a bunch of aliens all done by Capture Corp, which is like the silliest thing. But yeah, that then targets Gohan and Piccolo. And the reason it's Gohan and Piccolo is because Goku, Vegeta, and Broly they're not on Earth. So like, yeah, they're on the list. They're just not there yet. So they start with who they feel is the most available yet by power level for them to go after. So it started with Piccolo to Gohan and some other stuff and whatnot. So yeah, pretty simple premise for the film. And you don't want nothing too layered for Dragon Ball. You just really want to see some things that we're going to address in this spoiler review, because yes, the film is coming out on the 19th, and we're just going to have to talk about everything. Like at this point now, we just got to talk about everything, period. So before we get to the spoiler section, I will let you know when we get to that, but we will give non-spoiler a review in the beginning, then we'll go to spoilers. So Terrell, I talked a lot. That was 3 minutes of me talking. Your thoughts about the film, buddy?
Like yourself, man, I avoided every possible spoiler. I was aware that, people that was super pressed had to, go and watch the movie in advance. I did watch the trailers, and just from the trailers, like I was kind of like, because I really didn't like the animation style, because maybe I just didn't see a lot of it in motion. I think that's what it was. It was just certain scenes they would show and then kind of coming out of it. But after watching this, I got to say I'm a big fan of this animation. It fits a comic book kind of manga style on film, kind of cartoony, like what they were going for. Like, if this is a superhero movie, they wanted to give it like a superhero aesthetic. It looks really, really, really good. And I gotta say, I mean, this is a movie. If you didn't know, I mean, this is gonna be. I feel like the Gohan redemption story for all you people, and they make plenty of references for all you people that was shitting on my man Gohan for years.
Don't say all you people. All of us. All of us. Keep it 100. All of us was at some point like, where's the Gohan that went Super Saiyan 2 that completely crushed Bojack, completely crushed Cell? Like, where was that Gohan at? Yeah, we all been pretty much shitting on him for a while, and yeah, finally we were promised that Gohan is going to actually be a staple again. Right. They had to prove me right. They had to prove me wrong.
The entire Cell Saga was the jumping point for Gohan to become the main protagonist, but the fans, of course, weren't having that, and they wanted Goku back. But no, this movie is really good. I had fun with it, and to say this, it felt like a Dragon Ball movie, not like necessarily like a part of like the main story, but it felt like a movie. Like those movies are one-offs. they necessarily don't connect to like what's going on. I'm not sure what they're doing here in the Super movies. I feel like they're trying to make them all canon now. But this felt like a Dragon Ball movie, and I had a lot of time watching this movie and getting just seeing more Dragon Ball. I'm always fun when I go to see this, and having the opportunity to see these movies now in the theater.
Yeah. I agreed on a couple of your points. A lot of callbacks, a lot of nostalgia, a lot of the reasons why we started watching Dragon Ball was referenced in this movie. So all of us as hardcore Dragon Ball fans, there's going to be a lot of moments that you totally are going to say, wait, did they just do that? Yes, they did. Or did they just reference that? Yes, they did. Like, they absolutely catered to us, which felt like a love letter to us in all elements of this film. The callbacks, the nostalgia, but also because, yes, we all have been wanting Gohan to be that character that we all believed him to be. And with him being the focus of that, it clearly was like something that they must have heard us and said, we got to do what we got to do. And even Piccolo, somebody I'm a huge fan of too, who showed promise a little bit in the Tournament of Power and then kind of was underwhelming again. So like, I'm like, okay, now they're saying the focus is going to be on two characters that we both have been, we all have been very critical about when will they actually be a staple. And beyond that, because this film is not really circused around Goku and Vegeta, there is even moments between the two of them that you start to say like, well, finally, which is, again, a love letter to, I think, the diehards and maybe even the casuals, but I think it's definitely a love letter to the fan base, and that's good. I will say, like, as much as I referenced the animation, I did love the 3D animation, the new animation style, very much. Again, totally done for IMAX. Cannot wait to own this on Blu-ray. The secondary there, I would say, like, I thought that was a step forward in the animation. Now, the question is, was this a step forward in the movies, in Brawly and Resurrection F? I think this movie felt like, again, a love letter to the fans, but I think this movie is going back to what we loved about the original movies in Z 1 through 13, where they just, and like, those weren't canon, I get it, but they were very strong, self-contained stories that you were just happy to have. And that's kind of how I felt with this. Broly was a different story for me. That had to serve a purpose. That had to be like a vehicle in terms of what's next in terms of Dragon Ball Super. But for this felt like a very good self-contained story that we can just be happy about. And I think it is canon. I don't know if there's been confirmation of it or not. Right, because they say they all were going to be, but I haven't heard too much about it. But even still, with it being canon, it still was just a very self-contained story. Yes, there are parts of this film that you start to think, what's next for Dragon Ball Super? What's next for what's the next story arc? Whether it's going to be on the series or whether it's going to be in the manga. Like, there seems to be a lot of different things they can go with from this. But if they didn't, you're still kind of like, you know what? That was a really dope story. If we got more Dragon Ball content, I'm not mad at this at all. So, that's my thing. Like, overall assessment of the film, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. There's a couple of things that I really liked about this film, which I'll talk about in a second. But overall, I just thought this was just a very good film that just was just self-contained. And I think
it was real lighthearted. This is definitely like a movie for kids. Real lighthearted. And I think one of the main characters, Jiro's grandson, I think the movie is kind of, I don't want to say from his perspective, but like I said, it's almost like you're watching a superhero movie.
Yeah,
and it's, like I said, it's real lighthearted, it's real cartoony, and it feels like it's definitely directed towards like a certain age group, or manga is directed towards like 8 to 13 or whatever, so kind of like that demographic. But I feel like they really hit the point there, and it felt like a real lighthearted movie. And I really can't wait. You said I can't wait to get us a steelbook or whatever they're going through. But
yeah, hopefully you get it. And I think you're entirely right. There's a fight early in the film with Gamma 2 and Piccolo. And Piccolo's like, well, why? How can I see his moves? Like, how can I see his moves being like the fonts? How can he see the wording of his moves? Yeah, the sound effects. There we go. Thank you. And like, that's like a comic book script or page or whatnot. And I thought that was really cool. And I think that absolutely caters to what you're saying in terms of like, it felt like a superhero movie. And I think like they catered towards that. It is called superhero. the Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 feels that they're superhero. They were created by Dr. Hedo, who is completely motivated by the superheroes he's seen, and he's out here trying to right the wrong of the evil aliens from Capsule Corp. So where he feels that, there's been sightings of things of people flying there, and Boma got all this money and doing all these sorts of different things, and they're teleporting around, and why wouldn't it be? So it's a story that's kind of silly, but it works. And then there's a lot of different elements of it. Now, the last thing I didn't say was the voice actors. Now, we know our typical voice actors are going to do their things. There's a couple of people that should be noted. I did say Brawley's in this film. He is now voiced by who I feel is top 3 best voice actors of all people, Johnny Young Bosch. Again.
Oh, yeah.
Because of what happened, they had to recast, and they went up. So,
to be honest, I barely noticed. I didn't even notice. Broly's lines in both of those movies are minimal. If he's not just screaming, and anybody can do that. So,
but can they though? Because sometimes there's element, especially in Dragon Ball, you there's a level of being able to elevate your vocals to a point that the screening sounds trained, and that's what makes me go to my next person in Zeno Robinson, who voices Gamma 2, who I think he's one of the best up and comers alongside of Alex Lee, who is Gamma 1. They're friends. The casting makes sense. And I thought that putting them two together and seeing them really unleash in this film was really dope. The continuity between the two of them, because they're completely different personalities, but seeing how they kind of work together, the comedic lines between the two of them, you can tell that they're absolutely really friends. It just works, I got to give a shout out to Kyle Hebert, who voices Gohan. Listen, he knew we've been wanting this, and sure enough, he showed up for us. That's just what it is. And then the last person I'm going to mention is Chris Sabat, because yes, we know he voices Piccolo and Vegeta, but did you know that he directed the film? Did you know he was in charge of casting? So when it came down to him finding these new characters that needed to be voiced, Dr. Hito, Magenta, Carmine, both the Gammas, guess who's behind that? The one of the most iconic voice actors of them all, and getting it right. So it's a lot into this film that you just sit back and you just really appreciate the essence of how they got this done. So I'm thoroughly happy from both as a fan, both as a critic. Just overall, this was just a really put together film. I don't know if people are going to try to find things negative about it, but I didn't have a problem with this at all.
I didn't either, but I could definitely see why people will be upset, because it's not your typical fighter and fighter, Dragon Ball movie, and the 2-3 main people that would normally save the day aren't who you're expecting. So I think that's pretty much I feel like when the comics come out, that's the only complaint you're going to see is this character didn't get enough screen time. What's up? You know what I mean? The main 3 that that didn't got a whole movie, and a whole series, but you hate want Gohan to have his life. So
yeah. Terrell, anything else you want to add? I want to give you a little bit of time to add anything else non-spoiler wise before we get into
it. Yeah, man. I tell you, man. I watched this. I think I was smiling the whole time, and I just had nothing but good time. Of course, you talking to a guy that who we used to watch. We used to get the Dragon Ball tapes back in the day, from that guy. You had, if you didn't have the imports, you were watching on Toonami. So just like you said, a combination of so many different things in this movie. It just takes you back to, and every time they did a moment in the movie, it just took me back to the episode where I laughed, because I got a reference, and I feel not to sound like a gatekeeper, but you have to have been watching this series and or read it or whatever to understand those moments and feel certain things. Like I said, it's just the way lines are delivered, certain payoffs, like you said, that we've all been waiting an answer for, a definitive answer, if that at this point. It's just so many great moments in this movie, and it's definitely worth a second and third watch and owning. And like I said, I really didn't think I would like the art style. but I really do dig it after watching it in motion and seeing certain things. And I'm happy that my favorite characters finally, get a payoff. And that this is canon, so you can't say nothing. So, but I loved it, man. It was great.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an emotional attachment to this film that folks from day one will have. I think that folks who picks this up for the first time, I think you will appreciate it, but I think you will absolutely miss a critical element of what this film was made for and about. And I also will say that I truly enjoyed the third act, but there has been other films. I can even say like My Hero Academia, who's had, and even Demon Slayer recently, their third acts were just bananas. And this one was crazy for sure. But I feel like if you wasn't a day one fan, you may have a little bit of an issue as to like, oh, that's it. But for me, it was like, oh my God, that's it. Because I get it. I understood the entire thing. So, I can't sit here and try to figure out reasons for people to not like it because people will find their own. I just know for myself, I had a really good time with this. The English voice actors killed it. Up and down the board, they brought it together really well. Except for who?
I said sub a dub, bro. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
They give you that option now in the theater, which is
right.
Whatever, but
Right. But again, I mean. Anyway, I got some interviews for this film available, so definitely check those out. Hear what Chris has to say about that comment Terrell just made, because like it's a little bit annoying to me how folks still are very much like in terms of just what they're riding out for and try to discredit the English voice acting work when they did a fantastic job in this, and that should be very well documented. That they're able to still make an impact for a film that has already been released in other parts of the world. So anyway, let's talk spoilers. So I'm gonna give y'all 3 seconds to roll out because I definitely want to talk about the very important parts of this film that I just cannot avoid in this review. So again, we're getting ready to get into spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Time to talk spoilers about the new Dragon Ball superhero movie. Now, as I said, this film was totally a love letter to the OG Dragon Ball fans. And even with the flashbacks to different scenes, which I completely love the updated look of Z and Dragon Ball, that was like, oh, maybe I might make a purchase on some new DVDs, because it looked great, finally. It was a really cool thing. So I appreciated that. Understanding the story and how we got to this point, I think is very important, and I'm even guilty of this myself. It's very important to remember that the Red Ribbon Army never left Earth, so they have no clue what happened in the rest of the universe, the tournament of power, and so on. So they only have information about what happened on Earth. So that's important to kind of go into things knowing that, like, that's how they surveyed what's been going on. That's how they had their assessment of the Z family being the bad guys and the capsule courts being sort of like a farm for aliens to come down and do what they got to do. No, it makes sense when you understand that they've only been on Earth. So with that, the build of it and whatnot, that's pretty interesting storytelling that only somebody like Akira Toriyama could do, because that's a very narrow path to understand that, like, you can tell a story without overscaling it. Very minimum about what you're trying to do here, and it makes sense. You know what I mean? Because you easily can say, like, nah, they should know this, and that. No, we know that. They don't. And that's important for you to remember. So, like, there's a lot of conversation between Magenta and Dr. Hedo in terms of, like, what's the state of the Earth in terms of who's the strongest and what's been happening and so on, what happened with Cell and all these sorts of different things and whatnot. So, like, it's interesting because, like, for us as fans, we always have these conversations about who's the strongest, what would happen if this happened, et cetera, et cetera. So to kind of see characters within the story kind of assess the different things that have happened and what does that mean and the ramifications of that, I thought was hella cool.
Right. I thought it was also interesting too that we're getting a different perspective from kind of like the human point of view, because I feel like the story is always like, we're already seeing it from, like you said, the Z Fighters point side. So we don't see like, hey, they don't cut the camera from their perspective. Oh, we saw the fight with Cell on TV, certain things like that. Or this is how we, like you said, this is how we know the information. We typically don't get their point of view in these movies. So I thought it was cool to spend time like at the opening to kind of get a rundown of, hey, this is what's been going on since this, and they spend, we get a lot of conversation between, like you said, Magenta and Hedo, just catching us up.
Yeah, and Dr. Heto's origin story, I thought was cool, but I'm glad that they didn't dwell in this too long. Where he was just like, "Listen, I didn't have a conversation with my grandfather, Dr. Jarrell. Like, so be it. But I'm smarter than him. I'm 23. I've already did a bit in jail, and I'm the next one up. I love the ego, I do, but I also love the fact that he's so smart, but he's still a kid, and he still has a level of immaturity to overcome, which is completely interesting thinking about what's next for him. He's clearly an asset. He clearly wants to do good. He may look evil. He may sound evil. Obviously, the voice acting by, I should have mentioned him as well too. His name slipping out of my head. Zach Aguilar, who's also fantastic, by the way. Also 23 years old, I believe. Yeah, right on par for the character. So like it's another good voice actor on the way up. Again, Chris in the casting here. But like the intriguing part of why this is a good, really self-sufficient story is because it does start to make you intrigued about what they may want to do next with the series. You have characters you potentially can use now that are of interest, that are just more than just one-dimensional, and then the Gammas, they're androids, and then the use of the Dragon Ball and the Dragon Ball being powered up, and all sorts of different things that's kind of happening in this film that you start to think like, I'm very excited to get reinvested into if they do another season of Dragon Ball Super. So I think the story did a lot of good job is being a vehicle for a lot of different intriguing factors after, but again, it's self-sufficient. So if they didn't do anything, I also was very much satisfied. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like you said, I mean, this whole film is just answering a lot of questions that we had in our heads, and especially making two characters that almost felt essentially useless after the Cell saga, Gohan and Cell. And of course we got Goku and Vegeta in this movie, but they aren't the focal points. I guess you can guess that from the trailer, but you would assume.
Well, we're talking spoilers, so say what you want to say, because I know you were talking about the gripes in terms of like Goku and Vegeta are in the movie, they're in the poster, they're heavily featured in the trailers. We know that Broly's in it because we saw him in the trailer attacking Goku. Also wasn't in the film, by the way. That scene was not in the film.
Why they cut that?
Yeah, but it's Dragon Ball. We know there's two things that always happens: Goku gets stronger, and Goku and Vegeta saves the day. That is non-existent in this.
I mean, I'm not sure if they. I mean, what you said when the show comes back, I'm not sure. Obviously, this has to be like 2 years after or something like that in between, because Pan is 3, and I think in that series in Super, like she's like maybe like 1, if that. So maybe 2 or 3 years. But like I said, Goku Vegeta is not in the movie. People gonna be mad that they're not the ones that come in and solve this issue. And like I said, they do have enough screen time, and I was happy to see Broly in here because I thought he was just going to be like a one and done. They were just going to throw him to the side. But I see what they're doing. I can see what they're trying to do. It looks like they're trying to rebuild their entire lineup right now, because there's going to be a super big threat that's going to require everybody, including Hedo and Broly and everybody in on this situation. But for people that was hating on Gohan, they have a movement in the movie where Piccolo throws him the sensu bean and he drops it, which was reference to him catching the freaking Patara earring. Like, Jesus Christ, he drops it again. But yeah, man, Gohan gets his next level. I wonder if that's going to be canon, though. If that's just going to be like, oh, okay, we just did it. It'll never happen again.
Right, it's heavily featured in Dragon Ball Super Hero. Let me make sure I get that right. Dragon Ball Heroes. So the card game is featured. The little 8-minute episodes, the little animation, non-canon, whatever story, it's also featured. So like it exists. And I also feel like anything that's created and used does exist in some space. So with this being in it, it's definitely canon. Just a matter of like, how does it work out? Now, another thing about the film that I just want to make sure everybody knows that Piccolo decides he wants to get Gohan back training, so he definitely helps Pan gets kidnapped, fully aware of it. Also was like trying to put handcuffs on her in front of her school.
Right.
Because Piccolo is definitely daddy. Like, it's not even a question. That's his granddaughter. Gohan is definitely his son, and he definitely is in full-blown daddy mode in this. And like, yeah, he goes and picks her up. The grandfather that's out of touch, which I thought was hella cool that they did that though, because he comes in and he's like, yeah, we got this plan. I'm gonna put these handcuffs on you so that they can make it think it's real. It's like, sir, there's a bunch of humans looking at you right now that you're handcuffing a 3-year-old. You are a piece of shit if you do this. But like, it is interesting because he is out of touch. And with Gohan focusing on the studies and Piccolo only focusing on training, it's a dynamic where he says, I need Gohan to step up. We see Piccolo completely be the most resourceful character of everybody. He exhausts every option, period, in order to get ready for this threat, because Gamma 2 goes after him. He was aware of it. He felt it, and he went straight on recon mode to figure out where Gamma 2 was at, discovered that Red Ribbon Army is back, and instantly said, I got to figure out what I got to do. I got to get stronger. I got to get Gohan ready. I already wanted Gohan to train, so this is like a perfect storm here. I just got to get him motivated, and by getting Pan kidnapped, who Pan is also training, who can hold her own against most people around, this was the tactic. Now, interesting thing that we should note, Pan was aware that Piccolo was in a was in a costume, or he was in the uniform for the Capsule Corp soldier.
Right.
She can sense him. Gohan couldn't, and it just tells you the level of distraction Gohan is. It's beyond power at this point, and I think this is another thing with this film that they heavily feature. It's not about this brute strength. It's truly about like a level of like calm and patience and almost virtue in terms of how you prepare for your next threat. We see Pan is becoming balanced. We see Vegeta training in the sense that Whis and Beerus are looking at him, noticing how he's moving more fluently. He also mentioned that that's what Jiren was doing. Jiren obviously took a meditation break during the Tournament of Power. Goku's still raw force, so he's very edgy. And we'll talk about something at the end of this. And then you have Gohan, who's just completely book smart, who isn't training. So he's on the opposite end of the spectrum of this as well too. So like, you're seeing how training is starting to evolve into a different method. And then we should mention that Broly, who completely scared the hell out of Beerus, which should be noted. The only time Beerus has been scared is 3 times: Ultra Instinct, Jiren, and now Broly. So the fact that they're on the same planet and he looked at him was like, why is this maniac here? It's telling. Whis does not care, even though Whis is completely the strongest of everybody. He doesn't care. But it should be noted that Broly is also doing a level of meditation and studying, calming his inner rage and observing, and it's completely tearing him apart. I think there's a part where it looks like he's tearing up, or is he like just emotional? Was he emotional by the battle? Was he emotional because he couldn't control his rage? But we see him training in a different sense.
Yeah, I think it was the battle. I think just the love story between those two characters really caught everybody.
Fair enough. So
dudes being dudes,
yeah, but that's, everybody's training differently, and I think that's another thing, is saying that like, it ain't just about getting stronger in terms of strength. It is about the balancing and the essence of patience and whatnot. So that's an interesting element of this.
I like that the story is kind of shifting how the rules work. You know what I mean? Like you said, the power level thing kind of went out the window. And I think that the Tournament of Power arc was the definite, like, whatever, where a dude like Master Roshi can come in and fight people that he shouldn't be able to beat, but using technique and certain skill, you're able to overcome brute strength, like you said, like how Jiren was doing. He clearly, he wasn't, they said he wasn't the strongest, but it was just the way he was fighting. You know what I mean? That was, it was, it was crazy. So, we got characters that are considered gods, you know what I mean, have gone toe to toe with Beerus, and they're still struggling against characters that they know they should easily wash, according to the rules of Dragon Ball and power levels. But Now we're changing the mind. We know how Ultra Instinct works. You know, we know how destruction energy works. We, like you said, we being the strongest because he's an angel. He'll take out everybody that's there, but he downplays how strong he is. He's never interfered with what's going on in the world. So it's I just like how, like I said, I like how the rules are resetting, and we're using like different elements. And like I said, as we go into these new arcs, if you've been reading the super manga, you kind of know what's next.
Yeah. Now I'm just gonna brush through a bunch of different things because we definitely been rapping for a little bit. Gohan getting the Sharingan, I thought was hella dope in terms of transformation. I was like, okay, holy shit.
Like
as soon as it happened, I was like, wow.
That was like obviously reference to the Saiyan heritage, like the multi form, but yeah, like the red eyes, when they go great ape, their eyes go red for a second, and then yeah. So definitely they wanted to throw a little bit in that in there, but it also looked like a little Ultra Instinct, which would make sense because Gohan has a really calm heart. Like I feel like he's really calm.
Yeah,
that would make sense, like for him to be able to go in that form.
Yeah,
and, like his dad did, by mistake. So.
Right. And let's just call it what it is. First of all, Ultimate Gohan is still my favorite transformation of all. And seeing him go from Super Saiyan 2 to Ultimate Gohan was the shit. But when he did go to Beast Gohan, it wasn't a complete like rage of a charge up ultimate transformation, and similar to what, let's just say, Super Saiyan is in terms of the Saiyans and Goku. It was more of a peaceful transformation. He did snap, but it instantly went into it, which to me, they didn't spend a lot of focus in terms of that transformation. It was like something click and then it happened, instead of like something click, rage, a couple of different animations and whatnot, and then transformation. So right, it is peaceful. And I think that when you do talk about the references and whatnot, understanding that he had his power unleashed by the elder Namekian, and understanding what Piccolo getting his transformation, getting a little bit of extra juice from Shenron as sort of the same unlocked potential. Like it makes sense that Gohan would do this, because not only did he get that, he also got it from when he got the Ultimate Gohan form, when he got it from what's his name?
Sea Sword. They were charging.
Yeah. So it makes sense that like that plus rage, boom. It has to be it was always going to be enough. It just had to be the right motivation. Of course, his daughter Pan was a big part of that, and also seeing his daddy Piccolo get completely exhausted the entire time, which Piccolo held this shit down. Like, call it what it is. Piccolo was wrecking. Piccolo was wrecking.
Longer than I expected. You know what I mean? It's always kind of hard to measure now, like if this character is able to stay on par with this character now, wouldn't they be stronger than this character at this point, right?
I think that conversation is almost relevant now. It's about technique, like you said.
Right. Like if Krillin can stay in zone against Goku, so he should be able to beat Majin Buu, right? Okay, whatever. But like you said, Daddy Piccolo to the rescue.
Yeah, and Gohan made his daddy proud. And also, I think we should note that anybody who sleeps in this film is some of the strongest characters. Just FYI, if they slept in this film, they're considered like god tier in terms of their strength, because there was a lot of sleeping going on in this. But we haven't talked about who the main villain is, but I will say this: I feel like that's just like the ultimate spoiler, but I feel like everybody's already seen it. But Cell is my favorite character, and Cell Max I just was not ultimately impressed with. But
I was gonna say the same thing.
I did feel connected on one part of it though. It felt like a Xenoverse battle raid, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty annoying. These are very difficult, and everybody got to come through. So it was cool seeing 18 getting involved. Krillin, who was completely comedic to a point, trying to avoid all reasons to get involved, but he got in there. Goten and Trunks are teenagers, and for as long as they've been fusing, they somehow got it wrong. I was thoroughly confused by that. I don't know why they didn't address how they messed up the fusion in this when they've been doing it as kids for a long time. And
teenagers probably don't hang out like that no more.
And I think they got it right a second time in the film, but we didn't get to see it. But like, it was just weird that, like, they were just like, oh, we're gonna do the fusion, and we just completely botched it. But hey, Fat Gotenks was able to make a little bit of a difference in it. Gohan hitting the brain buster in the film was something I wasn't going to put on my bingo card. And talking about Piccolo's transformation, he definitely turned into an orange berry bonds. Like my man was just roided up and just was just like it's clobbering time and did what he had to do. And he held his own, man. Piccolo, he took us on an emotional ride on this one, but he held his own. And sure enough, him and his son got it done. So
I'm not a fan of using the Dragon Ball to get a power up. I'm not like you know what I mean. I just
are you more a fan of it being used for BBLs?
Yeah, Bulma. Yeah, we already knew she was doing that, man. I feel like they jeez, man, like. But yeah, like I feel like that's like the cheapest route because I feel like that's what like the story arc is right now. When the super manga is like, okay, Dragon, make me the strongest person that ever was, and now we got to fight this guy. I'm not a fan of that cheap method. I'm a fan of if it's passed to you through mystical means, which I guess that's Dragon Ball's like energy transfer or you train to do it, then cool, whatever. But I'm not like instantly give me the power sucks. So kind of Piccolo just took a little shortcut real quick, like, hey, hurry up and give me some steroids and let me go fly back and make sure I'm on par with the androids.
Piccolo is definitely leading the MLB this year in home runs hit. Like it's not even a question. Dende being there and powering up the Dragon Ball thought was a cool touch on everything.
Right.
But yeah, what else am I gonna say? Yeah, Bulma using the last two wishes for cosmetic surgery, a BBL, and her eyelashes. Never mind, I ain't gonna even say it, but yeah, Bulma's definitely from Atlanta, and that's where I will leave that one at.
I put that scene.
Yeah. Krillin, like I said, Krillin was funny, completely trying to do whatever he can to avoid getting into the battle, but he did, and it was funny. I thought another really cool scene was Cell's what do you call it? Like Earth devastating finishing blast. The animation around that was cool.
I was really hoping, man, that the Cell, the Cell mech, because it was rumors, but I didn't want to believe it, confirm it. I was hoping that the Cell would have been like regular Cell form, and it would have been kind of like a rematch on that, not this Berserker, movie 13.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I can't even think of that. Harudagon was but that's what I'm saying. Like Harudagon Cell, I wasn't feeling that.
Yeah, and again, it's a Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 raid, like 100%. But yeah, let's talk about the last few parts, and we go get up out of here. Now, Gohan hitting the special beam cannon was the ultimate kiss to the fans. So cool, so well done. Piccolo not seeing it coming, all this about him not training, and he picked up a technique, didn't even know it. The animation behind it was hella cool. And then obviously the ultimate callback was when Piccolo was holding Cell, which was a callback to when Goku held Raditz back in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, which ultimately killed them, but it was just cool that they was able to do that. Gamma 2, who died in this, was completely the hero, and I would be very baffled if they did not wish him back, or they just reconstructed him and gave him a new name or whatever it may be. Because Gamma 1 and 2 is definitely not something I'm looking forward to having to say forever. I mean, we do have 17 and 18 all the way to 21, but hopefully we do get Gamma 2 back so that Zeno can voice another character, because Gamma 2 went in.
Yeah, he's funny.
Completely good move set. Even Gamma 1, the fight in the rain with Gamma 1 and Gohan was it definitely set the tone for what was to come in that film. So like a lot of good things I liked about in this film. I just had a really good time. I guess we got to watch the Japanese sub soon. But the last thing I'm gonna say for this is Vegeta's future story arc. As I said, Vegeta is training different, and everybody can tell that there's a difference in how he's moving. There's an after the credit scenes that you have to check out, and that's to say Vegeta finally gets to put his plaque on his wall. I'm not even going to say what it is, but he gets his plaque on the wall finally, and now that changes everything. With something that he's been wanting to accomplish for so long, now where does his mind go? Think about somebody who just finally got that monkey off their back. Right. What happens next? And I think that is so intriguing that We are definitely going to see a new level of him, but the motivation is different now. The training is different. So while we have had so much focus on Goku, we have so much to talk about with other characters. Beast Gohan being there,
Right.
Orange Piccolo being there, BBL Boma being there, Gamma 1 still being there, Hedo being there. What happens with Gamma 2? Is Cell truly done? He did self-destruct, but what does that mean? Like, is there potential of something, to come of that? You know what I mean? The Red Ribbon Army is still there. And what would they do after that? They said that the whole Cell Max thing was not totally ready, but that doesn't mean they're going to completely abandon it. So I think there's a lot to kind of go with this, and I just had a good time. That's all I have to say about this film.
Like I said, I definitely gotta catch it, on the big screen, and I would recommend everybody go to the movies to see it so we can obviously get more of these. And get this continued story. But like I said, I thought it was working. It was fun. I had a good time. You don't get your Vegeta and Goku to come in and save the day, but it's still cool, man, to see, you can stop shitting on Gohan and let him be the future of the Z series, hopefully. But,
we got what we wanted. Y'all want to go Gohan to be stronger? He is. Now we got I guess we got other discussions in terms of who's the strongest and whatnot, but that's a conversation for another day. Folks, you got a job to do. Go check out Dragon Ball Super Superhero August 19th. See it on the biggest and best screen available. Once you do, folks, come back in our comments. Let us know your thoughts about the film. And as always, stay tuned for more movie reviews very soon.